Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
With Election Day in less than 2 months, what is on the line is not a simple difference of policies, it is the fate of our nation. Judicial activists at all levels have put roadblocks in the way of justice. The 34-time convicted felon will not see a prison cell before Election Day. MAGA activists at state and local levels are working to disenfranchise voters, and foreign governments are paying conservative bloggers to spread their propaganda. On Liberal Dan Radio, we cut through the lies, unwind the spin, and give facts to counter their fiction. Will you do what needs to be done to make sure our nation isn't taken over by an autocratic despot? Or will you sit back and watch as our nation falls to ruin? The clock is ticking. Act now before it's too late.
Welcome back to Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, that's right. This is your host, Dan Zimmerman, coming at you from New Orleans, Louisiana. To join the conversation is area code 914-803-4131. That is 914-803-4131. If you're listening on Blog Talk Radio and want to join us in the chat, you can also come over to liberaldanradio.com or twitch.tv/LiberalDanRadio. YouTube should be up, I think. I don't know. It says it's live. It says there's a good connection on YouTube. I don't know. Let me go check my phone and see if it's up. I see it on Twitch. It's showing up on YouTube. I don't know. Let me look. Let me make sure it's up on the other one. I don't know. Maybe there's a weird connection thing. I don't know. Let's see. Am I not showing up live on YouTube? I don't know. It says I'm private. Weird. All right, well, let me stop the stream on YouTube.
With Election Day in less than 2 months, what is on the line is not a simple difference of policies, it is the fate of our nation. Judicial activists at all levels have put roadblocks in the way of justice. The 34-time convicted felon will not see a prison cell before Election Day. MAGA activists at state and local levels are working to disenfranchise voters, and foreign governments are paying conservative bloggers to spread their propaganda. On Liberal Dan Radio, we cut through the lies, unwind the spin, and give facts to counter their fiction. Will you do what needs to be done to make sure our nation isn't taken over by an autocratic despot? Or will you sit back and watch as our nation falls to ruin? The clock is ticking. Act now before it's too late. To join the conversation, it's 914-803-4131. That's 914-803-4131. Again, if you're listening on Blog Talk Radio, come over to liberaldanradio.com, which is the YouTube channel, and come join us in the chat there, or twitch.tv/liberaldanradio. Either way, we don't monitor the Blog Talk Radio chat, so it's easier to come over and join us those places. Apparently, I had my YouTube stream on private. I don't know why that happened, but, you know, as your boy Donald Trump says, I have to scroll down and find it now. There it is.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. So We're now back, and our settings are correct, and we've refreshed the stream and everything, so we are good to go. So thank you for everybody else showing up in the chat already. We got Nick, Dakota, Dave, Aaron, Jeff, Steve from across the pond, Jolie. I think that's everybody so far. Good to see everybody. Thank you for showing up and smashing that like button, and then the patriarchy. I have some personal stuff to rant about. Oh, my lord. The Kia thing continues. Wow, does the Kia thing continue? I'll catch everybody up on that for a little bit, as we wait for people to trickle in on the main other issues. We have the hypocrite of the week this week is not just one. We have a hat trick of hypocrisy this week. So we'll play that in a little bit as well. We'll talk about other issues. The attempt on Donald Trump's life again. Supposedly it wasn't as close, supposedly, as the last one was. It's a Republican who voted for Trump in 2016, but apparently became disenfranchised with him. Also, apparently tried to recruit people to go fight for Ukraine, which is kind of weird. But maybe he didn't realize just how badly Trump would be up Putin's ass before he actually went ahead and did that. So who knows? Steve, I like that. From across the pond is my surname here. Yes, it's stuck to you, Steve. Steve from across the pond. And if there are other Steves that come from across the pond to watch the show, they don't get the surname. You're stuck. It's yours as long as you want it. So there you go. Yes, Kia thing, and I even said for Nick there'll be a rant for the Kia thing. And I said, you're welcome, Nick, because I know Nick loves my rants. And, it's a coming. It's a coming, because I am shook. My wife is shook. We're all shook. Speaking of my wife, she's out of town currently. She's up in Washington, D.C. She's closer to Khalil than I am. Could have had her meet up with Khalil, and they could have had lunch or something. I don't know. Anyway, because she's actually, I think Khalil said he was going to Arlington last week. She's actually pretty darn close to Arlington. So, she went to go check out the specialty clinic because she's been dealing with, as I said, with what she thought was Bell's palsy. I think from what she's describing, it's actually not. It's something different. And now she's actually going to be getting the help that she needs. She's trying to see some sort of facial clinic up there as well while she's still up there. But then amazingly enough, there's a person who was trained specifically by the specialist that she went up to go see there, who will be soon opening up a clinic down in New Orleans. So what's the chance? What's the chance that would happen? I don't know, but it seems like the specialist that she's gone to see seems to believe that while it might take a while for everything to resolve, that she should be able to get the situation fixed within a year, and that she should go back to normal. And if for some reason she starts to have a droopy face again, that she should go back to urgent care, get more steroids and more antivirals to go deal with the issue. I think it has something to do with the shingles/chickenpox vaccine or something, and having a bad reaction because of her autoimmune stuff. So it's all crazy, but I'm very glad that she got to go up there and actually get to seek the help that she needs. Of course, I miss her very much, so love you, Cassie. Can't wait for you to get home. Of course, everybody knows. Hey, CR, good to see you. Thanks for joining us in the chat. Slava Ukraine, yes. So, Kia. To catch everybody up on the Kia fiasco. My mother-in-law's Kia Soul was stolen back when she was still living with us, obviously, and she was staying with us. It was stolen from right in front of our house. They took it for a joyride about a couple days before they were about ready to write the whole thing off. They said they found it. They took it. It was towed over to the Kia dealership, which at the time was Ray Brandt Kia. This is important because there's much to this rant. Ray Brandt Kia. Ray Brandt is now dead. So all of the Ray Brandt car dealerships all over the New Orleans area, there was a bunch, were purchased by various others. Some of them were purchased by Premier. Some of them were purchased by Tamron. This one happened to be purchased by Tamron. So now Ray Brandt Kia is Tamron Kia. This is very important to the story. So they do everything. We do the insurance claim. They supposedly fix everything that needs to be fixed, right? So mother-in-law passes away in April. We didn't drive the car too much, but I kind of realized, okay, I think it needs an alignment, and there should have been an alignment when they, replaced all 4 tires. Because they had to replace all 4 tires, well, because 3 of them were missing, because they put 3 donuts on the car, and so they had to put on new tires, because they were missing 3 tires. Because they were doing donuts in the one. They did, the old donut was still in the car, but 3 other donuts were on that car, and they were probably doing donuts in the street. So you would think that they would do an alignment, do an alignment check to see if it needs an alignment. And had they done that, they would have realized that, there's an issue with the strut. You can't do the alignment because there's an issue with the strut. It's either bent or cracked. I forget which one it was. Irrelevant whether or not it's bent or cracked, because bent or cracked, there's a problem, and it needs to be solved, and Vanilla Ice is nowhere to be found. So, it should have been done, again, fixed under the insurance. Now, of course, we have new insurance for the car. I can rant about that, too, because this is silly. It's a side silliness to this whole thing. So I'm like, well, what's it going to cost? First, it was $800. Then it started escalating because, well, we need $800, then another $80, then another $160 for the alignment, but they were willing to cut it from $160 to $80 on the alignment because the last one should have done the alignment already. And then it goes up. The final bill ends up being $1,100 to fix this car out of my own pocket. Money that I wasn't anticipating that I would need to spend. But yet here we go. $1,100 out of pocket. Originally thought it was $8, now it's $11. And this one person who works there was trying his hardest to try and get stuff to come off the bill to basically make it so that, hey, these people have bought 2 cars from us, and maybe we want them to come back, or bought 2 cars from this location, and maybe we want them to come back and buy more cars from us, but they won't do it if we bend them over the barrel. Their basically response to him was, if you want them to pay any less, it's going to come out of your paycheck. Of course, he wasn't going to do that, and I wouldn't expect him to do that because that's ridiculous. One thing, though, that they checked was to see if there was any possible way that this would be covered under the warranty of the vehicle. But it wouldn't because it was part of the accident or whatever. But when they went to go check the warranty of the vehicle and he was showing me all the paperwork dealing with the vehicle, he showed me that the car was purchased in September of 2019. No. The car was purchased on February 6th, 2020. On the same day that we purchased our Kia, the Seltos. We purchased both cars on the same day. Now, there's a very important, because if the car was purchased on September, whatever, like 3rd or 4th or whatever, what's in their system, that's saying that the car, now that's 5 years, so the 5-year warranty's now gone. No more 5-year warranty. What? So now, we no longer have a new car, because it was previously owned by somebody else, even though there was only supposedly 16 miles on the vehicle. Shady car salesman bullshit. I don't curse much on the show, but shady car salesman bullshit. So I'm like, I showed the person the Facebook post, because car dealerships love to have, here's a picture of this person and their new vehicle, yay! And so I was like, look, here's the post from the 7th, because they didn't post it the day of, but here's the post from February 7th of 2020 of my mother-in-law and her new Kia Soul. Not from 2019, but from 2020. Well, do you have any other paperwork showing that? I'm like, well, here's this whole thing, and here's the temporary tag information showing. If I would have just flipped a couple of pages, I would have found the bill of sale. But he gave me the information. I had to call Kia customer care because they can't do it. They can't be bothered to do anything because it's a new dealership. They're a new dealership. See, I'm of the opinion that, if you purchase an entity, if they purchase a thing, that they should be responsible for taking care of, like, the good and the bad. But no, in reality, I'm sure they just bought the everything that belonged to Ray Brandt, but I'm sure the Ray Brandt Corporation just still exists as a shell of a corporation at this point, and it just fizzles away and dies. But there's no any desire of them to take any responsibility for anything that existed prior to them taking over that spot right there. But yeah. So, and on the bill of sale, it clearly says it was a new car. Not that it was previously purchased or previously owned. It's a new car. So if it's a new car, the warranty should start on February 6th, 2020, not September 2019. But Kia's on that BS, I guess. We will see how Kia responds. I won't know about that until they get to it tomorrow, I suppose, or whenever they decide to get to it. But, car salesmen get a bad rap, and rightfully so, because of all the BS that happened from car salesmen. Me and my wife are still just like, we are shook. We cannot believe that they tried to pass off a previously owned vehicle onto us as new. And they would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for those pesky kids, i.e. the ones who stole the car. What's up, Jen Morgan and Dakota Dave? Isn't there a rant background? There's not really a rant musical background, but there is the whole Liberal Dan Radio presents Fat Man Rants, and it's a bunch of me doing different type of voices or whatever. Still hearing rumors that Kia wants into NASCAR. Some fans are still having a hard time with Toyota being there. What are they gonna do? Little Kia Souls like running around like? But yeah. February 6th is a weird day. It's my birthday. Your birthday is February 6th? So is Henry. So is my youngest son. So there you go. So there you go. Yeah, so I am absolutely and thoroughly annoyed at the fact that at all of this crap. I'm thoroughly annoyed at all of this crap dealing with Kia. There's the whole Kia finance thing, and if you don't remember about the Kia finance thing, Kia and Hyundai, I think, and somebody else, maybe Genesis, all share one finance group thing. So, and they basically told us that when we got the vehicle, that we would have to, after my mother-in-law died, have to refinance the vehicle in my wife's name, but that they would not allow us to put my information on the loan, so or on the refinancing. It could only be my wife that does it. Like, they completely X'd out the information having to do with like a spouse or a co-borrower. It had to specifically be my wife, and she could not list any other source of income other than her income, or else or else, and if we didn't do it, they might repossess the vehicle because they were concerned about creditworthiness. Well, my wife doesn't make as much money as I do. I bring in most of the money. I bring in most of the money in this house because I work a full-time job and she doesn't. So how was she was never going to get approved for it. So what are you going to do? Retake the car? So we had to take out a home equity loan to basically, well, we pay off some credit card debts, but we also had to pay off the car note just so we could make sure they didn't yank the car away from us. So there would be no way that we would deal with Kia Finance again. No way we would ever use that again. And now, with Ray Brandt and now Tamron Kia being a bunch of dicks, there's no way that we would ever buy a car from those places again because they're terrible. And now it turns out that Ray Brandt, the old Kia place, tries to tell us that sold us a car that was previously owned by somebody else and didn't let us know. So the clock started ticking on the ownership of the vehicle then instead of now? Are you freaking kidding me? And it should have been, I think we were supposed to have a 10-year warranty, not a 5. So it's all sorts of BS. All sorts of BS. See, Aaron, Mike Kia Soul eats oil and they have no fix for it. That's also more just Kia BS. So the idea that I will, and the funny thing is, I tried to use this against them as well. I was like, look, here's the story. When my wife was buying her Seltos and my mother-in-law was buying her Soul, I saw the Tellurides and I thought the Tellurides were a neat looking SUV, and I was thinking, hey, if I ever need to get rid of my van, and once I run the van into the dirt and no longer need the van, I would love to be able to have one of these Tellurides, and maybe that's the next thing I should consider getting. And then I called an Uber to take me to Kia today, and guess what happened? I got picked up in a Telluride, and I was like, it was a really nice car on the inside as well. I loved it. It was a great car. Will I ever buy a Telluride? Hell no. Why? Because of all this BS that I'm dealing with as it pertains to, and it's all. And here's the thing. It's all. A lot of this is because it's just enabled. Like my wife is like, well, why can't we sue? Why aren't there recourse? Why isn't there any recourse to sue? Well, because of corporate BS. So Ray Brandt was one corporation. Tamron Kia is another corporation. So I'm sure Tamron probably, I'm not 100% sure, but Tamron is probably like a holding company that holds a whole bunch of other dealerships. So it's probably one umbrella corporation, but each probably dealership is probably its own corporation in and of itself, so that everything is insulated from everything else. So if you have a particular issue with the manufactured car that is made by Kia, that would be an issue with Kia itself. And whatever warranties Kia has done, if it's something not done right, or if Kia was negligent or whatever, either by recalls or whatever, Kia would have to fix that specifically, and it would be done through either a Kia dealership or someplace else. But if the dealership itself screws up, or at like the service center or whatever, Kia is insulated from that. Or if an old dealership screws up, the new dealership that has now taken its place is a separate corporation, so therefore it's insulated from that. So because Ray Brandt Kia is no longer a thing, the only recourse now that they have to do to make this right is to say, okay, well now, we're going to switch your warranty. We're going to make your warranty the correct warranty. But that's BS, because the old dealership sold us something that was not what we bought. Who the hell knows what else could be wrong with it? Never can know who was going to pop up with whatever happened for however long they owned it. I don't know how long they owned it. I don't know how long it was in their name or whatever they did with it. Who the hell knows? What's up, Teresa? Good to see you. So yeah, screw Kia. And it sucks that we now have two, but those probably will be the last two ever, because they can kiss my ass. Or as I told my wife, they can kiss my big fat black hairy ass. Hey Roxanne, good to see you as well. Anyway, so what else are we going to talk about today? Let's get down to here. Another interesting thing happened. Anybody hear about the Shannon Sharpe incident on Instagram? That was an interesting thing. If you look up Shannon Sharpe on Twitter, you can still see what happened, or you can hear the audio of what happened, because apparently after Shannon Sharpe did his little podcast that he does on Instagram, he did not turn it off, and he then started going at it full throttle with a partner of his, and you could hear him going at it all live on Instagram, and somebody screen captured it and posted it to Twitter, and it's amazing. And what's also amazing is the fact that you have a professional wrestler, Ron Killings, who's sometimes known as R-Truth, who comes on and he starts giving like the color commentary on the whole thing, which just makes it even more amazing, because he's just a national treasure when it comes to wrestling. And one of his things that he's known for saying is, I don't even know if that's PG. Well, we all know that definitely wasn't PG. And one of the funniest things is that ever since that happened, ever since that audio came out of him doing the thing, and hey, more power to you. We don't judge, we don't shame people on this show. If you had a great time, go at it, have fun. I don't think he's embarrassed about it at all. Now they're showing ads for the boner pills that he sells. Like, I've seen the ads for the boner pills that he sells all over the internet now. So now they're taking full advantage of it. Be like, hey, use these, put them under your tongue or whatever, however or chew them or whatever. I don't know which ones he sells or whatever. Which ones he hawk to or whatever, spit on that thing. I don't know which ones he uses, but now I'm seeing all sorts of ads with Shannon Sharpe and on those pills to help you be more virile, I suppose. And well, I guess they work, because he was there and he was grunting and growling away. And if you want to hear something not say, just don't bring it up on when you're at work. That's for darn sure. But holy moly, just yeah. If you're gonna do a podcast and then you're gonna want to go bump nasties or whatever, make sure that your equipment is completely off before having some fun, because or else it's gonna go viral. LO made it. Jeff, take a Viagra, head to the polls in November, vote hard. Voting is not hard, but you can if you want. It can be if you want it to be, right, Jeff? So then you had another one JD Vance thing. We have another JD Vance thing coming up in the Hypocrite of the Week. JD Vance comes up and basically admits to making up stories about the dogs and the cats. He was questioned about it, about the whole, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, and now they've made it into a music thing. They made a music song about it. And the sad thing about it is like, you have idiots like the older millennial on TikTok or whatever, and like they're sitting there, they're dancing to it. They think the song is funny, and they're like, his wife is like dancing to some song, to the song that they made about it. These people, these idiots, the poorly educated that Donald Trump said that he loved after the 2016 Nevada primaries, they don't realize that the song is mocking Donald Trump, that they're mocking him for his buying the idea, either he bought it or that he's just being a bigot and they're mocking his bigotry. But J.D. Vance basically admitted that he has no problem with making up stories, i.e. with lying to the American public to get them talking about issues like the border. Even though Haitians, nothing to do with the border. These are people who are here in his country, who are here legally, who are legal residents, who now Trump wants to deport legal residents apparently because he campaigned this weekend saying that he was going to go into places like Springfield and start deporting all the Haitians. Because one person spread a story that turned out to be false, and then the MAGA and GOP ran with it, and now you have terrified Haitians who don't want to leave their houses. There are bomb threats being made. People are scared for their lives. You have the Proud Boys who are marching down the streets of Springfield now because they feel it's their duty to support their piece of crap president. And look, somebody had acid thrown on their car. At least it was only on their car and not on their person. Donald Trump is going to cause more people to die because of his vitriol and rhetoric. J.D. Vance is going to cause more people to die because of his vitriol and rhetoric. Donald Trump says that Democrats are responsible for the 2 attempts on his life, even though I don't know if I would really call this an attempt. It was the essence of an attempt, or what did he call it? It was a concept of an attempt. It wasn't really an attempt. It was like he had a concept. He had concept of an attempt. It wasn't really an attempt. They caught him. He ran away. They caught him again. Now he's going to probably go to jail for the rest of his life. Prison, whatever. But Trump sits there and blames the Democrats for saying that he's a threat to democracy. Yet Donald Trump's sitting there calling Democrats the enemy, saying he's going to get into office and get retribution, saying that he's going to be a dictator from day one, and saying that he's going to go after all of his political rivals and lock them up and put them in jail and put them in prison. Say that they're traitors. Then he has people like Laura Loomer saying all of her garbage. And speaking of which, I think now seems like a good time to play this week's Hypocrite of the Week, or as I'm calling this week's, it's a Hat Trick of Hypocrisy. And if for some reason it doesn't play well because Blog Talk Radio audio sometimes sucks, we'll just stop it. And if you're listening on Blog Talk Radio, just come over to YouTube and we'll play the regular version from Audacity. So here we go. Here's this week's Hypocrite of the Week.
This week, we don't just have one example of hypocrisy for Hypocrite of the Week, we have a trifecta of hypocrites, or a hat trick of hypocrisy, if you will. First, we have 34-time convicted felon Donald Trump, who insisted at the debate that foreign countries and not consumers would be the ones paying his tariffs. He was asked if his resorts were taxed on memberships, if he would pay those taxes, or if he would pass those taxes on to members. His response, it would depend on the economy. But how does that not apply to your tariffs, Donny boy? Next, we have old 6B, MTG. Large Marge, Marjorie Taylor Greene. When Laura Loomer made bigoted comments pertaining to Vice President Harris, the Georgian congresswoman said that her comments were not representative of MAGA or the Republican Party. Excuse me, Mrs. Jewish Space Lasers, did you forget your own bigoted words, or the bigoted words of your boy Donald Trump, about how Haitians are eating dogs and cats? Racism fits perfectly well in the MAGA party, and if the shoe fits, they will strap them up and then goose step in them, just like they did in Charlottesville. Finally, we have J.D. Vance. Not to be outdone, in a week couched in hypocrisy, J.D. Vance said that nobody would care about Taylor Swift's endorsement of Vice President Harris, because, and I quote, she is a celebrity billionaire who is fundamentally disconnected from Americans' interests, says the guy running with a billionaire who is fundamentally disconnected from Americans' interests. Well, except the racist ones. To see who next week's Hypocrite of the Week will be, tune in live Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Central on liberaldaneradio.com or twitch.tv/liberaldaneradio for more talk from the left. That's right.
There you go. A supersized trifecta of hypocrisy, or a hat trick of hypocrisy, if you will, and I'll be posting that after the show as its own separate clip if you want to listen to it again. But there you go. You got J.D. Vance, Donald Trump, and MTG, old 6B, all three of them coming in. I couldn't just pick one, like Sophie's Choice. I had to go for all three of them for this week's Hypocrite of the Week, the hat trick of hypocrisy. Yes, Robin, the guy never got a shot off, unlike the guy that did get a shot off on Trump at the rally that last time, supposedly. I mean, I'm not usually one for huge conspiracy theories, but I've not seen a scar on his ear, so what the hell's going on with that? But yeah, there was the Secret Service did their jobs. They scanned ahead of the area that he was about to go into. They found the dude, and they stopped him from doing it, whatever it was he was going to be doing. So there you go. Kudos to the Secret Service for doing their jobs. And again, as I posted in a little short video the other day, I don't support political violence in any way, shape, or form. I don't want to see anybody, even if I disagree with them, offed. Now, if somebody were to succumb to some, choke on a cheeseburger or a hamburger or whatever, I'm not going to sit here and mourn for him, but let it happen in his own Cheeto-stained hands and not have it be the result of political violence. Although, if that happened to him, and if he did, choke on a cheeseburger or whatever it is that he would choke on, the MAGA folks would find some way to blame Democrats for it anyway, and then, still revolt or riot or whatever. So, see, Jeff Curry, when will Kyle Rittenhouse show up? For what? The CR, sharp on the hot mic, not a good family man look. Yeah. There are so many people calling him Unc, like Uncle Sharp. Like, come on, man. Somebody call him. When will Kyle Rittenhouse show up? For what? I mean, Kyle Rittenhouse said that he's not voting for Trump. At least, that was the last I heard. Kyle Rittenhouse is not happy with Trump about certain things. So, never know. And then some people were not happy with Kyle Rittenhouse for coming out against Donald Trump. So, that's an interesting twist. Again, like to see the infighting. Let's see. I used to play paintball with a guy that went all out playing in the woods. Gully suit. I stepped on him twice. Nice. Shannon Sharp may have gotten a shot off. Possible. That is a Jeff Curry worthy comment there, CR. Well played. Chad, they always asked why I'd wear normal clothes. I said I didn't pay $2,000 for a gun to hide with it. Nice. Vance should be Hypocrite of the Year. Well, you'll just have to tune in and see at the end of the year, won't you? I do have Hypocrites of the Year. 1 year it was Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, and the next year, I think last year, it was Cenk and Anna from the Young Turfs. So, but it very well could be Vance, especially because of the fact that Vance ran with Donald Trump, who he once called the Hitler of America or whatever. So, there you go. He is definitely in the running for Hypocrite of the Year. 100%. Hey, Janelle Walker, good to see you. Thank you for showing up. Appreciate you. But yeah. So, what else do we want to talk about? Oh, I did post a video about this, but I did want to go in a little more detail about this as well. About Donald Trump, and now he wants to make overtime. not taxable, which is all BS. Nobody should believe that Donald Trump really wants to make overtime not taxable or that he could actually implement it. It's a BS claim made to just try and help his floundering campaign. Why is it a floundering campaign? Well, apparently Vice President Harris is within the margin of error in Iowa. Democrats haven't won Iowa since President Obama, I think in 2012, maybe. Florida seems more and more in play, especially because you have marijuana and abortion on the ballot. North Carolina is in play. They're campaigning heavily in North Carolina. Vice President Harris is campaigning in conservative areas of Pennsylvania. The Trump campaign is scared. And how do we know that they're scared? It's where they're pulling out of, where they're going into, what ads they're running. They're running ads in Florida now, the Willie Horton type ads that are racist Willie Horton type ads in Florida. You know, you wouldn't think that Donald Trump would have to run ads in Florida, in a state that Ron DeSantis won by 19 points? And now they're running ads in Florida. That shows you how scared Donald Trump is of Vice President Harris. They're scared of it. But he's also having to resort to desperately throwing spaghetti on the wall to try and see what will stick, to try and get as many people to buy his snake oil. That's why he's a used car salesman. Donald Trump is a used car salesman. And he will tell you whatever it is that you want to hear to make the sale, to make the deal. And only after you walk off the lot will you realize, oh, you just got a lemon. Or like in my situation, maybe 4 years later you find out, oh, we didn't really buy a new car. We bought a car that was really owned by somebody else first. Donald Trump is trying to sell you a bill of goods. And I don't think it's going to. Again, in the video I said, whatever happened to the conservatives who tried to say that tax policy should be more simple. It used to see conservatives all the time say things like, we should be able to file your taxes on a postcard. Like, you should be able to say, here's a postcard, here is my income, here's my dependents, this is what I owe, done. That's what used to be now Donald Trump wants to, all right, well, this was your income, but this is tips, so you don't have to write your tips on there, and you have to take this is what you worked, and this is overtime, so this doesn't count, and whatever, and there's, it's going to make it difficult on employers, potentially. It's going to make it difficult, on the people filing the taxes, because again, maybe Donald Trump owns stock in H&R Block and any of the other tax prep companies so that if he passes these things as policy into law, more people will have to use H&R Block, and as such his stock will go up. I don't know. Maybe. But in reality, again, as I said, it's unlikely to happen, because people are unlikely to want to do that. And in reality, a better plan, if you want to give relief to working class people who might work overtime and might still need a little bit of a break, give them a universal basic income. That will offset the taxes of the people who decide to then work overtime anyway. Plus, it'll help the other people as well who aren't working overtime, who can't work overtime because, maybe they can't because they have a kid and they can't work the extra time. Or it'll offset any taxes one might pay on tips. But if you remember what we've talked about when it comes to Project 2025 on this show and on that video as well, Project 2025 is saying that we should implement a plan that changes overtime, how overtime is calculated. Currently, how overtime is calculated is if you work more than 40 hours in 1 week. Everything else, if you're an hourly employee, everything else is paid time and a half. Right? Well, Project 2025 doesn't want to do that anymore. Project 2025 says they should be able to do overtime at like 2 weeks or 4 weeks even, so that they could work you like, if they work you an 80 hours in 1 week, if they make it an 80-hour rule, they could work you 80 hours in 1 week, but as long as they don't do more than 80 hours in 2 weeks, you wouldn't get any overtime. You would still get paid that amount. Or if they did the 160 thing, they could work you for 2 weeks at 80 hours a week and then not work you the next 2 weeks, and you'd get no overtime. So like they could work you like the weeks before, Thanksgiving, or maybe the weeks before Christmas, where it's really busy, and then like you would then get off like the next 2 weeks after Christmas. Congratulations, here's your next 2 weeks off. We've worked you like a dog for 2 weeks, 80 hours a week. You get no overtime. So congratulations, all this income is now still taxable under Donald Trump's new plan. You don't get the extra 20 hours or 40 hours worth of pay because we've grouped it all at 160 hours, and we've said anything over 160 hours in a 4-week period is overtime instead of doing it by the 40 hours in 1 week period. So it screws over the labor force, and they're going to say, oh, well, it gives employees the opportunity if they want to work more hours, but then they want to have more time off. What employer is going to let you do that? What employer is going to be like, tell you, oh, who wants to work 80 hours this week and be off next week? That's not going to happen. It may happen very once in a blue moon, but in reality, what's going to happen is the employers are going to abuse the F out of it, and most employees are not going to see any real benefit from it. And then when it comes down, yeah, you can have your overtime pay tax-free. And then Americans can be like, what happened to my overtime pay? I used to get overtime pay when I worked 50 hours in a week. Well, you don't get any more because now it's if it's 80 hours in 2 weeks, not over 40 in 1. So that's to make sure that everybody understands. There's, again, this is in this video, but if you want to share this whole thing with your friends, I have a shorter video that deals with it already posted on the channel. Share it with your friends. Let them know if you hear anybody talking about, oh, Donald Trump wants to let overtime not be taxed, let them know what Project 2025 wants to do with overtime. And you'll know what the real deal is, because that's how they get you. By, it's a whole Lucy kicking the football thing. Donald Trump's Lucy. You're sitting there, you're thinking you're going to get, not just your overtime pay, but you're going to get even more because all that overtime pay is not going to be taxed. Then all of a sudden, pull the football away because, now you're not getting overtime pay, even though you're working 80 hours in a week, because they changed the rules on how overtime is calculated. Haha, too bad, sorry. Thank you, Don, I appreciate it. See, Chad, I worked 72 hours a week for almost 5 years of my life. A while back, money was good, but F that noise. Yeah, but when you worked 72 hours in the week for almost 5 years of your life, you still got paid overtime for 32 of those hours, right? So you got 32 plus time and a half, so 16 more. So 16 on top of 72 is 88. So you got paid as if you worked 88. So even though it was good pay, and even though the money was good, even though we worked you hard, you got the extra money. Now they don't want to give you the extra money. That's why I hit my head against the wall with, look, Chad, I like to consider you as somebody who comes into the chat. We may disagree on policy on some things, but I like to think you have common sense. Though there's no such thing as common sense because it's not common, but I like to think you have sense. How about that? I like to think you have sense. I like to think you're a sensible person. Labor, they would take they would take you, if you were still in that situation where you were going to work, were you working 72 hours in a week and making all the extra money that you would make in overtime, they would say, F you, no, you don't get the extra money if you work 72 hours in a week, as long as they change it to where, as long, if you do it in 1 week at least. I guess if you did it in multiple weeks, it then adds up, and then you might get more at that point. But you could see where it can be abused, and you could see how the corporations will abuse the people who are working, because there is a power disparity between people who are in labor and people who are in who are the capitalists, who are the ones who own the companies, and especially in jobs where, you know, the people are highly replaceable. Again, it's the whole price elasticity of demand thing coming into play. When people are replaceable, they can just do whatever it is that they please, and the workers don't have much say, which is why workers unionize, because that's the only way they gain power. And then conservatives try to bust unions to try and take away the power of unions to make it so that, you know, the employers get more power again. And this is all about taking away power from labor and giving it into the hands of the capitalists. And it's wrong. And it's disgusting. And there's only one party who is going to stand up for the labor movement. And anybody who is labor who decides they're going to magically vote Republican because they think somehow the Republican Party is going to be better for them, that's bullshit. Dakota Dave, I was taught that you can sleep when you're dead. I mean, that's true, but, you know, would you really enjoy that sleep? Nick Rich, I drove a taxi in the 80s, 12 hours a day for 6 days a week, my terms after I earned the nut. I mean, look, when I did Uber driving, especially when there was times, I think the most time I ever worked one time, I think I probably did 16 hours in one day. But during Mardi Gras, I would bust my hump as much as possible. 12 hours a day, 12 hours a day, 12 hours a day, every day during Mardi Gras, because I would make bank. I made $1,300 one day in Mardi Gras because of all of the surging that. Now you can't do it now because, well, now it's not Mardi Gras, but even if it was Mardi Gras, they've changed the rules on drivers, and drivers now don't get paid as much as they used to. But when you used to be able to make good money as a driver, I would work those hours, and I would work a bunch of hours, and I would make that bank. See, bank paid me extra to go out with locksmith for foreclosed home. We basically rode around drinking and road hunting. Nice. Chad, I worked as an ATM factory. They did four late super shift bonus turn up. What? Last week was the worst blizzard in decades. Everyone made it in. Nice. So I can't see a viable scenario where a company that I would be familiar with that would be able to rotate 8-hour weeks, but yes, it's possible to abuse. I think it's very possible to abuse, and they'll do it. I think you'd see them doing it, like, especially around the holiday times. Like, I think you would see people, like, being forced to do, like, maybe you would have people be forced to do 60-hour shifts the week before Christmas, and then they would do 20-hour shifts the next week, because the demand for the people won't be coming in the week after Christmas or whatever. Whenever people don't come in, when there's weeks where people come in huge, like, you know, maybe they'll be forced to work, you know, a bunch Black Friday week, and then the next week not as much, or whatever. However they would figure it out, they would figure out ways to make retail people come in and work a whole bunch during the really busy times, and then when it's not busy, nope, you know, you don't, and then you don't get the overtime. I mean, I remember when I worked for Radio Shack for a little bit before I got my job as my first software development gig. I remember it was right before when I got hired on at Pan American, where I first worked or whatever, for my first software development gig. They were about to start what they called the golden quarter, I want to say it was. where everybody made the most money that they could at Radio Shack because it was getting into the holiday season. And so you had all these bonus structures in at Radio Shack where they basically said, this is how you make money at Radio Shack. You do this, you sell a cell phone, you get this much bonus. You sell this, you get and if you sell a certain amount of overall stuff, you make this much bonus. But in order for your bonuses to kick in, you had to do this amount of stuff and then when the golden quarter came in, they raised the amount of sales that you had to do in order for you to qualify for bonuses, and then they lowered the amount of bonuses that you got. And they're like, oh, but you'll be making more bonuses overall. F you. Keep this. Don't punish us because you're getting more customers. Let us make more money off of the same thing, you hacks. But that's what they do. They always you're going to make more money this way. No, you're not. You're going to benefit. You're going to benefit more than I'm going to benefit. Just like with Uber and Lyft. Oh, we're changing the rule policies so you have a chance to make more money. Yeah, but I also have a chance to make much less money, and that's what I'm doing because you're hurting the drivers who know how to make the most money. F you. French nobility and clergy didn't see it coming until they found out. Speaking of which, there was a post I put on my personal Facebook wall, and it was definitely an interesting post that definitely deserves to be talked about. Let me read it. It's about the difference between Americans and the French when it comes to people working for the same company and getting laid off. Yes, TV2 Live. Good to see you. B, 2-week pay periods are bad for that as well. Let's see. I should play this other video as well, especially because Phil Donahue recently died. It's a clip from Phil Donahue. I should play that. Okay, here it is. Somebody post this. We had layoffs at my multinational Fortune 500 tech company recently, and one team was split in San Francisco and France. The engineers in San Francisco called into their morning meeting, and then an hour later got a call from HR with a return shipping label for their hardware, no notice, and a week of severance. The team in France, legally they had to be placed on what's called garden leave for a month, paid, and the company had to prove that they weren't replacing them in the near future, and it was a legitimate downsizing in which the employees couldn't be reassigned and keep their jobs. If the company is found fraudulent at any point in the process, they have to pay the dismissed worker a year of salary. We need to start rioting like the French when they are crossed. So, yes, worker benefits in France, worker protections in France are much better than the worker protections are here in this country. And we want to elect, and the people in labor want to elect Republicans who are going to make things worse for labor. That's what I don't understand. I don't understand how anybody who is working in any sort of labor position, if you are in the working class, if you are benefited by labor, how on earth could you support the Republican Party? It makes no sense whatsoever. I say, Steve, best job I had was chilling out in a small video store. I was a clerk before Kevin Smith made clerks. I'm pretty sure he must have come in one day. Fecker owes me money for his career. Funny. One time, I had a lotto ticket, and the lotto ticket, I matched 5 of 6 numbers, and I posted, man, if only 36 was 37. And somebody responded to my Facebook status, in a row? Because 36, if my number 36 would have been 37, it was the difference between me making $1,800 and me making $500,000, and it was just a randomly purchased ticket. And I was going through my ticket, and I was just doing manually at this point, and I'm like, yes, no. So yeah, unfortunately, I was shy. I was this close from getting $500,000 from the lotto. But yeah, 36, if only 36 was 37. In a row? Let's see. You've been playing with the new Chat GPT they just released. Best code writing so far. Gets about 80% of the busy work done before you got to make manual adjustments. I have not played with that yet, Chad. Maybe I'll have to play with it. Dakota Dave, I hear coffins are comfortable. Nice. See, Chad, as a former laborer and current trader accountant, I prefer less hard work. Well, I mean, as a software developer, I also prefer less hard work. I prefer having a nice office job where I can do it from my house. That being said, I'm still not going to not back labor. I'm always going to back labor because I'm not going to forget where I came from or where I could be at any time in the future. I also need to find this other thing real quick because my lovely wife took a picture for me and I need to share it with y'all because it's amazing. Because hold on, let me pull this open. Let me get this here. No, that's the wrong way. Hold on. There it is. Let us go to the alternate real quick. Anybody know what that picture is? That is Peace Circle, or as I was calling it during the hearings of the January 6th insurrection, that's P Circle. My wife she managed to find a parking spot like right by the Capitol and the Supreme Court, and I was like, ooh, if you could find P Circle, take a picture of it because I want to be able to share it on my podcast. That you were able to find P Circle, Peace Circle. But again, as everyone was saying Peace Circle, it just sounded like P Circle. So a lot of the insurrectionists came from the P Circle. So yes, Jolie, that's P Circle. So yes, my wife made me very happy by sending me a picture of the P Circle. I'm very easily amused. There's a similar statue in Galveston. I think it's called the Peace Monument as well, in the middle of Peace Circle. P Circle. But the Peace Monument doesn't have the same funniness to it as if they would have just said they were walking from the Peace Monument, it wouldn't have given me the funny, just like it gave me the funny when we did the live reaction to the January 6th hearings, like we did with P Circle. Haha. I will always be at some part I will always be a 13-year-old boy. So anyway. So there's that. What else? Ooh, my wife sent me something on Twitter. I don't know what she sent me on Twitter or not, but we'll see what it is. Something from Jimmy Kimmel. Interesting. Jimmy Kimmel. The results of last night's Emmys were totally unfair. In the category of late night show, sad rigged. Polls say I won by a lot. At Jon Stewart, at Stephen at Home, at Seth Meyers. Someone responded. Mueller, she wrote, "You can still win if Mike Pence does the right thing." Hilarious. So funny. I mean, it's so funny that we can make fun of him, but it's so scary that it's this close still. Like, it shouldn't be this close. It really shouldn't be this close. And it's nice to see that places are becoming competitive that shouldn't be, but it still shouldn't be this close. Her gaining in Iowa doesn't make me feel any better. She needs to be winning in Pennsylvania by a lot, and Wisconsin by a lot, and Michigan by a lot. And people need to get over their issues with her a lot so that we can have, a sane country for the next 4 years. What's up, Marie? Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Let's see. I think that everyone has a PC online thing. Goose them. I don't mind. Even my leaving is a funny story. I should do a podcast. Everybody should do a podcast. And I support everybody's podcast. You know, again. Let's see. Not only is it a close race, but she's still underperforming Joe in 2020 and Hillary in 2016. I don't know, but well, I think some of the data has shown that she's not, but I don't know. It depends on what poll you're looking at. But problem is that they need to be doing better, and we can't no matter how good the polling data looks, no matter how close she makes it in Florida, no matter how much she gains in North Carolina, we have to pretend like we're 2 points behind in every state, and we need to come out like we need to swarm the polls to make up that 2%. I don't believe in the whole thing of running like we're 20 points behind, because running like we're 20 points behind means it's hopeless. Running like we're 2 points behind means we're close and we can still catch up. And we need to redouble our efforts, triple our efforts, quadruple our efforts, make sure that we can get this done, and make sure that Orange Foulious doesn't retake the White House. Because as Kamala Harris has said, Donald Trump with unchecked power, which is what he will have after the Supreme Court ruling, is a dangerous thing indeed. And why people don't realize this is beyond me. Because there are people who will absolutely abuse power, and there are people who won't. Like, I think you've noticed, I think what we haven't seen President Biden be abusive of his powers ever since the Supreme Court said, hey, you could pretty much do whatever it is you want to do, and nothing you do within your administration can be subpoenaed. Right? We haven't seen anything like that. But if Donald Trump gets into office, you know he will abuse the hell out of that power. What happens if Donald Trump starts to abuse that power and starts ordering his people to lock up everybody who he disagrees with? Lock up Vice President Harris, lock up Biden, lock up everybody else. He orders everybody to do that. Well, oh, that's against the law. You can't do that. Habeas corpus or whatever. Oh, well, how are you going to prove that he did something wrong? You can't subpoena his office for it. Lock him up in Gitmo. Lock all the political prisoners up in Gitmo. Well, how are you going to find out that they did that? You can't subpoena the communications within the. You can't subpoena the communications of the presidency. They're all privileged, every single one of them. Nothing you can do. You have to hand the power to somebody who's sane, and not a megamaniacal maniac. So you can live stream on YouTube once you reach 50 subscribers, apparently. I don't remember what it took for me to be able to subscribe, to be able to live stream on YouTube, but I know I've been able to do it for a while on both of my things. Jeff, I've never been polled. I get polled a bunch, but I don't know if I've ever been polled on the presidential election. I don't know, maybe they don't poll Louisiana because it's not a swing area, because they know Louisiana is again, they do poll Louisiana on the presidential election. I don't know. It's been a while since I don't even remember ever getting polled in the presidential election ago. Let's see, Eric Kush. I loved Kamala in the debates. It was great. She brought up all of those debunked by the left-wing media hoaxes. It really hurt Trump in the polling. Wait, what? I mean, I do think it's good that she brought up the whole Charlottesville thing, even though I knew that people were gonna, oh, that's false, that's fake news, because, you know, when Donald Trump said that there were good people on both sides of Charlottesville, that was him making a statement not about the Nazis, but the people who were not the Nazis in Charlottesville, which is fine. I'll accept that. But you can't be marching next to Nazis and be a good person. Just like you can't be marching next to somebody shouting anti-Semitic things at a so-called pro-Palestinian rally and be a good person. I'm all for a two-state solution. I'm all for freeing Palestine and making sure they can have their own autonomous rule. I mean, it can't happen with Hamas. But if you're going to be out there shouting anti-Semitic rhetoric whilst yelling your support for the Palestinians, you're not really doing anybody any favors. And if you're somebody who is standing next to somebody who is shouting pro-Hamas anti-Semitic statements, you're not a good person either. Same thing applies. And I love saying that to conservatives because it blows their freaking mind because they have no idea how to handle it. None whatsoever. Which proven to be, folks, well, there you go, Charlottesville. You're bringing up Charlottesville. I'm explaining to you why Charlottesville is not a hoax. Why Donald Trump called bad people good people. No person marching on the side of the Nazis was a good person, because you can't be a good person if you're marching alongside Nazis. Knowingly and willingly. Period. You are not a good person if you are marching next to, what do you call 9 people sitting at a table eating dinner with a known Nazi? 10 Nazis. Again, if you are marching next to people who are shouting blood and soil and the Jews will not replace us, if you're marching next to them and you're just happy sitting there marching next to them because you're fine with them shouting whatever it is that they're saying because they're there supporting your cause of maintaining the monuments, you're not a good person because you're welcoming the Nazis into your party, into your crowd. You're more than you're willing to look the other way as the Nazis shout their Nazi things because they're helping you with your cause. No, that's not a good person. So sorry. Donald Trump called bad people good people. And that's the problem with what Donald Trump did. You cannot be a good person and march next to Nazis. What's up, Diane Russell? Good percent. Thank you for that. Jeff, just got into cherry banana wine I made. Damn, this is good. I need to come visit you, Jeff. Hey, I think you're in Missouri, right? So we can go visit Uranus, make a whole bunch of, giddy 13-year-old boy jokes about being in Uranus, and then we can drink all the stuff that you make. So Eric Kush, you need 10,000 watch hours to be monetized. It's less than that, I think. It's 4,000. Actually, it's 3,000. It's 3,000 watch hours to be to enable subscriptions. 4,000 watch hours to enable ad rolls. It might be different if you're just looking at shorts though. So. Hope everyone has a good night. Gotta go read nighttime story to the little one. What you reading them tonight? Go to F to sleep? Yes. Well, there's a town in Missouri called Uranus, and their claim to fame is their fudge factory, because the best fudge in the world comes from Uranus. They do not sponsor Liberal Dan Radio, though I should get them to sponsor Liberal Dan Radio, because I am constantly posting on their page and making good jokes for their benefit. So I really one day want to go up to Uranus and devour all the fudge that there is to be devoured. Sorry. So yeah, I get their, I don't know, I follow them, but I'm always seeing their sponsored ads all the time. So I see their posts too, and It's really freaking hysterical. All the different, and they have all sorts of different stuff. Like they open all sorts of new establishments that they can make all sorts of jokes and puns about, and 13-year-old me just loves it, thinks it's hilarious. So, go after sleep is exactly right. Later, y'all. Hey, I'm a psychic. Mackinac, Michigan makes the best fudge, but I hear ya. I mean, I've had pretty good fudge other places too, but I've never eaten the fudge from Uranus yet, and so I damn well intend to one day in my life. I think you can get them shipped. They'll ship from Uranus. And you can get it shipped from Uranus, and maybe I'll have to try that first before I make the voyage up to Uranus. Now, I have went to Hershey, Pennsylvania several times since I lived in Baltimore before. I did joke the one time we went to Hershey Park with my family, with my dad. I did joke about the fact that we were traveling the Hershey Highway, and it did make my dad laugh. And it, like, I've always consider it great when I can make my dad have a really good, like, chuckle laugh, because my dad is sometimes very serious minded or whatever. So when I can get him to get a good, like, giggle going, I always consider it to be proud. So when I called, I think it was 81 is the highway that goes up that way. So when I called 81 the Hershey Highway, he got a good kick out of it. You have to look up Mackinac, Michigan, cool little city by the south side of the bridge, known for fudge. I'll have to look that up. I do want to go, one day I do want to go to Dearborn, Michigan, just simply because they have to have real shawarma. Because there's so many places here in New Orleans that have, like, beef shawarma and chicken shawarma, but nobody has lamb shawarma, and I want lamb shawarma so bad. The only place I've ever had lamb shawarma is in Israel, and no chance of me going back there anytime in the near future. So going for a spine injection Wednesday on the way back, I stopped at that fudge factory. It's fun, half drugged. I bet. So you're gonna say you're gonna get injection before you go into Uranus? Oh my. Eric Kush, even Snopes debunked Charlottesville. Snopes may have debunked specific wordings of Charlottesville. Like, Snopes may have debunked that Donald Trump was calling the Nazis good people. And I'll fully say, Donald Trump didn't mean to say that the Nazis themselves who were marching were good people, that he was calling the other people who were marching right alongside the Nazis the good people. That's, what he was saying. I'm just disagreeing with him because you can't be a good person if you're marching next to a Nazi and they're a Nazi. Look, if you don't know the person's a Nazi and you're marching next to him, fine. I'll forgive your ignorance. But if you're sitting there and somebody's shouting, if you have your little SS patch on or your little Nazi symbol, or you're waving your tiki torch and you're shouting all these anti-Semitic things, and somebody else is marching right next to you, and they're all about the Confederate, statues or whatever, you're sitting there marching next to them without caring that they're Nazis because they're there for the same reason you are, which is, to protest the Confederacy loving statues, then hey, you're a Nazi too. Also, I also doubt that anybody marching in support of the Confederate statues are good people either, because, the Confederate statues were all erected pretty much to celebrate the Confederacy as an FU to the black people, because the people who loved the Confederacy wanted to give a big FU to the people, to black people in their neighborhoods by erecting statues to the people who fought to maintain slavery. So there's that too. Like, erecting statues to the Confederacy is like erecting statues of like Hitler and Goebbels and any of the other evil Nazis whose name I'm just, blanking on right now. Mengele. Play the entire clip right now. Let's see what he said. Okay, I'll pull up the clip. I will absolutely pull up the clip. While I'm pulling up the clip, I want to ask you a question, Eric. Do you believe or agree with Donald Trump when he on his campaign promise that he wanted to ban all Muslims from entering the country? Do you think that was a good idea when Donald Trump campaigned on banning all Muslims entering the country? Yes or no? Because I would like to know that. Jeff Curry, I need to make a video to send to Dan half-drugged walking into Uranus. You should. I would love to see that.
White supremacists on the same moral. You're putting what you're calling the alt-left and white supremacists on the same moral plane.
I'm not putting anybody on a moral plane. What I'm saying is this. You had a group on one side and you had a group on the other, and they came at each other with clubs, and it was vicious, and it was horrible, and it was a horrible thing to watch. But there is another side. There was a group on this side, you can call them the left, or you've just called them the left, that came violently attacking the other group. So you can say what you want, but that's the way it is.
It's on both sides, sir. You said there was hatred, there was violence on both sides.
Well, I do think there's blame. Yes, I think there's blame on both sides. You look at both sides. I think there's blame on both sides, and I have no doubt about it, and you don't have any doubt about it either. And if you reported it accurately, you would say.
Kill the person. Heather hired Charlottesville. They showed up in Charlottesville to protest.
Excuse me. They didn't put themselves down as you. And you had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group. Excuse me. I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name. Well, no, George Washington was a slave owner. Was George Washington a slave owner? So will George Washington now lose his status? Are we going to take down, excuse me, are we going to take down statues to George Washington? How about Thomas Jefferson? What do you think of Thomas Jefferson? You like him? Okay, good. Are we going to take down the statue? Because he was a major slave owner. Now we're going to take down his statue. So you know what? It's fine. You're changing history. You're changing culture.
All right. So are we good enough? Do we play enough of the clip for you, Eric, to satisfy that we've played the entire thing in context and that we've basically showed Donald Trump absolutely 100% totally saying that, you know, there were good people on both sides, and him saying, you know, and again, I'm not saying that he called the people who were marching with the tiki torches, shouting blood and soil and the Jews will not replace us, good people. I'm not saying that he said those people were good people. I'm saying that he called the people marching next to those people good people. And they're not, because they were marching next to the Nazis, known Nazis. And if you march next to a known Nazi, you're not a good person. Period. Now, Eric, I want you to answer about, do you believe that Donald Trump's plan to, what he campaigned on a total and complete ban on Muslims entering the country, do you think that was a good idea? Do you think it was a good idea to run on that, or do you think it was xenophobic and bigoted to run on a total and complete ban of Muslims entering the country? It's one of the many reasons that we should reject Donald Trump is because he's a bigot. I think my next video that's going to be produced and put out there, maybe tonight even, the case against Donald Trump will be his bigotry and xenophobia, especially as it has been enhanced now with his anti-Haitian rhetoric about the dogs and the cats and them eating them. which just plays off an old, oh, the Asians are eating your cats or whatever, and they're using them in your Chinese food. Yeah, Dean. Well, yeah, of course, Dean, you believe it's bigly bigoted. If you're for oppressing women for a religion that was created hundreds of years ago, sure. I mean, many religions oppress women. I mean, you have all these Christians right now in the U.S. government oppressing women by not allowing them to save their own lives when it comes to dangerous pregnancies. But, you know, that's not an answer to my question. Yes, current day Christians in this country are seeking to turn this country into Gilead and deny people the right to be able to save their own lives, like Kate Cox was denied the ability in Texas to save her own life and her own fertility because the doctor said that her pregnancy was doomed. She had amniotic fluid leaking out of her body, or leaking out of her uterus at least, and she was going to risk being able to have any more kids, and she could risk going septic and die if she would be forced to continue gestating and not be able to have the fetus removed from her body that was already doomed to die, but yet it wasn't officially dead yet because there was still a fetal heartbeat, so they wouldn't perform the procedure. So yeah, don't give me this crap about religions harming women when you have Christians in this country who are actively working to try and harm women all over the place. In all the states where abortion is prevented, even to, you know, in cases like, you know, Kate Cox. I don't give a crap about what Trump said in the debate. Well, I give a crap about the actions that he did. Trump said that women should be punished if they get abortions when he ran previously in 2016. His appointing 3 people to the Supreme Court caused Roe versus Wade to be overturned. He said he's still, even after said he wasn't going to vote for the plan, he says he flipped around and said he was going to vote for the 6-week ban on abortions in Florida, even though he claimed that 6 weeks was too soon because of this false claim about late-term abortions that don't happen. It is absolutely illegal to kill a delivered infant. It is absolutely illegal to do that. Nobody is waiting to the 3rd trimester to have an abortion. Not one person does that. The only people that get an abortion in the 3rd trimester are people who are facing situations like Kate Cox, like the other women who have responded to that Date Right Stuff guy's video when he responded to Vice President Harris's comment about women bleeding out in parking lots, because there was a woman who was bleeding out in a parking lot. There was another woman who now is suffering from AFib and who's permanently has a permanent heart disability now because the hospitals would not treat her for like 18 days of her miscarriage, and now she's suffering for the rest of her life, can't get any overly excited because she may die, all because you have these zealot Christian bigots who believe that nobody should be able to save their own life because they can detect a fetal heartbeat, even though the fact that the pregnancy is miscarrying. You still haven't answered my question. Trump's ban, total and complete ban on Muslims entering the country. Good. Yes or no? Do you agree with it? Or do you disagree with it? Yeah, Eric, you can absolutely leave at any time. You could go down. We can make it go down to 25 if you wish. No problem. You're the one who came here. Would I love to have, hundreds and thousands or whatever? Would I love to be able to crack that code? Sure. But I'm not going to violate my principles to do so. I'm not going to be out there. There are some people who do it who, some people are out there shouting all sorts of falsehoods. I'm not going to be shouting all sorts of falsehoods just to get attention. Now, I'll bitch and moan about Kia all day long. What, Eric, do you work for Kia? Is that the problem? Do you not like that I complained about Kia? You didn't answer my question, Eric. I have a lot of problems with any sort of country that pushes religious totalitarianism. That doesn't answer my question. Do you believe in a total and complete ban of Muslims entering this country? Wait, Jeff Curry, and the Uranus Fudge Factory is the only place I can find RC Cola in a glass bottle. Well, I guess we can agree on that one, Eric. Because I definitely feel like a dumbass for buying a Kia. I'll straight up tell you that right now. I absolutely feel like a dumbass for buying a Kia at this point. So there you go. I'll fully admit that I'm a dumbass. Wait, so who's being mean? Who's being mean to me? Aaron? Oh, Trucker John's here. Hey, Trucker John. Good to see you. I miss somebody being mean to me, except for maybe Eric. But if you have a Hyundai, yeah, Hyundai and Kia have the same finance company, which is terrible. What's up, Alarasia? Good to see you. Hey, that makes 27, right? But you're still not answering my question, Eric. Do you or do you not agree with Donald Trump's proposed ban of no Muslims entering the country? Total and complete ban of Muslims. That's what I want to know. I want your answer on that one. Since you wanted me to play the clip, and I did. I played the clip. I acted all trained monkey just for you. See, TV2 Dearborn has a diverse community for sure. East side of the state. I'm in West Michigan. Fair enough. But I know Dearborn does have I think my neighbors have relatives in Dearborn, but they just would be unable to bring me lamb shawarma all the way down from Dearborn when they go visit. Well, I mean, Dean, that's not fair. I mean, Mitch McConnell has an Asian wife as well. His wife's Chinese, so, and then you have JD Vance, whose wife is Indian, right? She is an Indian woman, and they all of the conservatives totally embraced her, right? Nobody acted bigoted when they found out that JD Vance is not married to a white woman, right? Because, as I said, bigotry, in the Hypocrite of the Week this week, bigotry has a nice, good home in the MAGA party. MAGA loves bigotry, racism, hatred, xenophobia, etc. I mean, they might make exceptions for the good ones, as they might call them. As long as you do the right thing and say the right thing, they'll tolerate you. Hey, Benny, thank you for gifting a membership. Appreciate you. Corvette ZR1 greater than Nissan GTR. Oh, and both are union made. Good for that. Doesn't anyone have an American car? Well, it's weird. There are a lot of cars that are actually built mostly in America. Like, I know there are Kia. We drive by a Kia plant, I think, whenever we head to Georgia. I think there is a Kia plant in Georgia. I mean, so it is a Korean-owned company, right? But I think that there is a lot of jobs there. But the reason all these places create or open up factories in the South is because they're not union plants, which sucks. So There's a Subaru plant in Louisiana. Yeah, I think I remember that. But yeah, I mean, so just because the car is owned by a company that's not in America doesn't necessarily mean that it hasn't employed American workers. Problem is, though, that it's usually better to have a job, have cars that or it's a lot of times it's you want to try and support labor as much as possible, but you know, sometimes you have to get what you can get as it comes to affordability. And I'm not going to begrudge people who are going to put affordability and safety above and beyond other things at the time. And like when I bought my Sienna, which is a Toyota, Rose, my issue more was the fact that I was able to get a deal on it, and I originally had a Chevy Silverado, so I did once own an American car, and then I actually my first car was a Mercury Grand Marquis. I don't use that as a security question anymore, so I can say that. Car Talk with Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left, that's right. Car Talk from the left, that's right. Show reset, Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the left, that's right. Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Central here on YouTube. LiberalDanRadio.com is the link to the YouTube channel. Twitch.tv/Liberal Dan Radio as well to support the show. Become a Liberal Danimal. Hey, Rose. You could subscribe to the channel, or you can become a member for as little as $2 a month. You can gift subscriptions. You can super stickers. If you want to help me deal with all of the financial stuff I'm dealing with currently, that's awesome. You can Venmo Liberal Dan. It's at Liberal Dan on Venmo. Scan the QR code. Buy me a cider. Go to liberaldan.com. Click the Buy Me a Cider button, or go to buymeacoffee.com. Click /Liberal Dan Radio there. If you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe to the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Liberal Dan Radio. It doesn't cost you anything. Or you can subscribe to my nerdydan.com, twitch.tv/nerdydan DOTCOM. It's nerdydan.com everywhere. Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, everything. Thank you, Rose, for your butt in my head. So you can follow me there as well. Liberal Dan Radio is also all those same places as well. Eventually, I may start developing Liberal Dan After Dark. I have some ideas for it, but I really don't feel like I'm best suited for. Maybe Liberal Dan After Dark is something we'll consider starting after the election is over. I think I want to make sure most of my YouTube stuff happens, is election related, political related. Maybe we could talk about the After Dark stuff once the election is over. But I'd really rather make sure this grows before trying to work on another side project. But who knows? That could be the real moneymaker, right? You are purring away. And of course, the reason you're in here, and you've been in here with me a couple of times now, this is the first time you've jumped up on my shoulder, is because, of course, your mommy is away, so you need snugglins, and you're really snuggling with me because you've actually laid down on me now and not just walking on me. Right, Rose? Yes? Yes, you're purring away? You miss your mommy, huh? Yeah. Trump 2024, nothing you can do about it. Sure, Matt. Why do you think so? Why do you think that there's nothing we can do about it? I mean, we can vote. I mean, voting is an option. We all voted in 2020 and we rejected Trump. So if we rejected Trump in 2020, why do you think we can't reject Trump in 2024? I didn't even lose my power after Francine. Like it was a minute. Like I lost power for, like the power dropped, and before my closing credits were over, I had power back again. It was so silly. Like I could have stayed online, but I just decided to, I wanted to make sure to go have a snack if we happen to lose power again, but we never lost. It was only a brief outage of power. It was amazing. We were amazingly lucky. So ow. You have sharp claws, Rose. Nobody cheated in 2020. The only people that tried to cheat, Matt, are the people who tried to, find 11,000 votes in Georgia. Like your boy Donald Trump. Find me 11,000 votes. Only cheaters asked to find 11,000 votes there, Matt. the 60 some odd claims where Rudy went to courts to try and claim. He claimed publicly that all of these claims that he was bringing to court were going to be proven in court, but then he never actually brought those claims up in court. Why? Because if he would have brought those claims up in court, he would have perjured himself. It would have been perjury. He would have gotten disbarred. I mean, he already got disbarred, but still, it would have been against the law for him to do so, because all of the claims of all of the most shenanigans that they found when it came to election fraud and voter fraud came on the part of Republicans voting for their dead parents and crap like that. Stephen Sayers, why are all these supposed assassins so bad? Because they'll let anybody have a gun these days, I suppose, right? Anybody can get their hands on a gun, so that means the average efficiency or the whatever. Then again, I'm not saying that I'm not wanting anybody to be shot. I don't want that to be the way. I want him to lose at the election. I want him to lose at the polls, and I want him to lose at the polls so badly that it just degrades him so much that he just goes into a little fetal ball in a corner and just starts rocking back and forth forever. And there'll be no consoling him. This man is so unhinged. Donald Trump is so unhinged that even when he won the presidential election in 2016, even when he was sworn into office, he was still bitching and moaning and complaining about the fact that he lost California. He was upset that he lost California. He thought that there were shenanigans in California. He thought he should have won California. That's how delusional he is. That's how delusional Donald Trump is. He is a delusional person. I'm sure everything you said there, Matt, has all been debunked. Everything. Oh, Bribin. That's so clever. That's so clever. Joe Bribin. That's funny. Oh, if Donald Trump loses to Kamala Harris, well, I mean, he just found out that she was a black lady. I mean, how brilliant is he? It's very stable genius there. He just found out that Vice President Harris is black. Where have you been? Yeah, if he loses to her, when he loses to her, oh, he's not going to be able to handle that. He's going to go nuts. More nuts. Oh yeah, he claimed I won the popular vote, really. Republicans claim voter fraud in the weirdest things. Like there was one election in Florida where there was listed on the site, on the election site, that there were more ballots than people in an election. And this is one of the very big, Republican conspiracy theorists, but I forget which one. And they were complaining about there being more ballots than people in the county. And he was trying to make a big stink about it. And you know what happened? What the numbers that he was looking at was the number of cards that you would put into the machine. And because there were so many items on the ballot, each voter needed multiple cards to be able to handle the number of things that they were voting on. So each voter needed 3 cards to put into the machine that put all of their answers on. So if half of the county showed up to vote, guess what? You're going to have 150% of the total number of people showing up as cards. And when it was shown that was the case, did the person ever retract his statement and say, oh, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I didn't realize that when this number was there, that was the actual number of cards that people use, and people could have more than one cards on a valid ballot. No, he just let it go and let it just sit there in the ether to allow more people to just question the election integrity, because that's what conservatives do. Conservatives never admit that they're wrong. Conservatives, especially conservative politicians, I should say, conservative politicians never admit that they're wrong. They will never do a mea culpa. They will never sit here and say, oh, like you'll never hear a conservative politician say, I was wrong to push the thank you, Stephen, for the super chat. I appreciate you. You're awesome for that. You are amazing for the super sticker. Thank you so much. They will never say anything to the effect of, I should have never said anything about the dogs and cats. I should have never repeated that. I was wrong for doing that. It was wrong for me to do that. Just like J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance was asked about that. Instead of saying, you know what, I shouldn't have brought up the dog. I should have made sure that the dogs and cats story was a valid story before repeating it in public. I should have made sure that it was a correct story. And I'm sorry for bringing it up. Now I'm sorry for bringing it up before, and I'm sorry for repeating it. And nobody should be doing it. And everybody who does from this point on should be ashamed of themselves. That's what a politician with integrity would do. But J.D. Vance and Donald Trump lack integrity. And what they will do, thank you again, Benny, you're awesome. What Donald Trump and Vance what they will do is they'll continue to double down on it. They'll never apologize for it. They'll never say that they were wrong for pushing the xenophobic, anti-Haitian rhetoric, this anti-Haitian rhetoric about them supposedly eating dogs and cats. They'll never admit to doing that, and they'll continue doubling down on it because they believe it's going to get out their racist, xenophobic base. Because that's all they have. All they have to run on is fear-mongering and xenophobia. Yeah, he's going to go to Springfield. How many people... does anybody believe that there's not going to be what are the chances that number 3 would happen in Springfield? You have so many people who are threatening, whose lives are being threatened because of Donald Trump's rhetoric. Might one person become number 3 in Springfield when he's in Springfield? I'm sure Secret Service might be on higher alert because of that, but how many people do you have to put at risk with your violent rhetoric before it becomes too much? Benny Loco, my name is Jeff. Somebody was like, somebody tell JD Vance that when they were eating that when they said that they were eating pussy, that's not what they meant. I was just like, oh my god, that's hilarious. And poor JD Vance's wife, if that's the case. Wait, what did whatchamacallit say? What did you say, Jeff? I missed what you said. Came to find out what used cars salesman... Did I say care? Oh, darn. You caught the typo. Damn it. I didn't even realize that I had the typo. Darn fat fingers. Darn it. Should I fix it or just leave it up? I'll just leave it up. Darn fat fingers. Unfortunately. Yes. Use car salesman. Yeah, definitely should not put the term care with Kia, because Kia sucks. But yes, hey Seha, thank you for pointing out my terrible typo. Boo. Boo on my typo. I missed it. I guess Aaron missed it too, because I didn't see anything from Aaron about it. Unless you messaged me on Facebook. There are people... one thing that's bizarre to me is that normally they don't like to house, people with similar, circumstances in prison together and jail together. But apparently all of the people who are the so-called political prisoners for J6 are basically in like their own little J6 wing together in the DC jail, which is not a good idea. So I was watching this on MSNBC earlier today, and apparently some of the people, like this one kid who was there who wasn't necessarily violent, but still got caught up at everything and was still in the Capitol, was sitting there smoking a joint with his feet up on the desk or whatever, on one of the congressperson's, desks. And apparently that person has now been even more radicalized by the people that he was sitting in prison with, and now believes that if Donald Trump loses again, that there should be more violence, that there should be another attack, and that they should invade the Capitol. And this time they should do it better. Quote, better. Yeah, exactly. Pro-life and protect the children, except they want to kill cops and kill, everything else like that. I thought Trump had a health plan. No, he had concepts of a health plan. Just like the person who came down this weekend to go by the golf course. Thank you, or Villaby. Thank you for the follow on Twitch. They had concepts of a plan to off the former president, the 34-time convicted felon. He had concepts of a plan. He didn't really have a plan. It was concepts of a plan. Yes, 21st Century Suffragettes. Great podcast. Go check it out. I think I did share a link to Diane's page and a bunch of other people who are... Let's see if I can pull that up real quick. I have a Friends of the Show link on liberaldan.com. And I want to say, yeah, Friends of the Show. So if you go to liberaldan.com and click on the Friends of the Show link, you will see a bunch of people. So I think the first, under new editions, the first link is HBL Nation. But all there is a bunch of people on that link right there, liberaldan.com, which is the Friends of the Show one. You have links to HBL Nation, To Hang Your Hate, Tara Dublin's, Phil Ittner, Alex Pava, who's a talented musician who was on one of my cruises, Hal Sparks, the Percy Podcast, Old Show, World According to Knox, Demonox's old podcast, Ken's old podcast, the Free to Speech and You YouTube channel, Andrea's Living in It, TV2 Live. I thought I had the link there, but maybe I didn't have the link live. I don't know. Maybe I updated that. Trucker John's channel, Benny Loco, her user channel. Her channel is also there. Save the best for last. Benny Loco is listed last on the page. Save the best for last. So all of that is on the page. And yeah, I just added yours the other day, Diane. I also added, when you were live streaming, also tweeted you out because you were singing damn good. You had some pipes there. So more people should have listened to your singing, because more people need to hear that voice. So, and I'll be adding to that list as more friends of the show get added to the page. So there you go. From what I've seen, the MAGA Army sniper teams need better training, probably, or hopefully not. But you're welcome, Diane, as well. I mean, y'all are awesome. Y'all support me. I want to support you as best as I can. So, I do the best I can to try and help all the others. I want to lift up as many people as I can, because y'all help me. I want to help you. We all need to help each other, raise each other up. I want everybody to be monetized. I want everybody to have lots of listeners and followers and subscribers and all that good stuff. So, speaking of which, I think it's finalized now. I think I should be on Hal's show Friday at noon, my time, or 1 o'clock his Eastern. I think 1 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific, noon Central. I mean, I should be on Hal's show on Friday, so you'll get a little extra dose of Liberal Dan Radio this week. So, which is awesome, which is fun. So, see, Diane Russell, I did a live stream last night and replayed yesterday's show. So far, I got 609, but that's awesome. I think I probably need to do more shorts as well. I think shorts is a way to help get more views. I have a friend of mine that's been getting lots of views on his shorts, especially on his nerdy stuff. So I need to take some tips from him as well for both of my channels. Maybe see about growing the channel, both channels, some more. So, TV2, I haven't applied for monetization yet. I'm afraid to, I mean, do you have all the things? Do you have enough subscribers and watch hours? I mean, that should be all you need to do. So, if the button's there, then you should have what you need, unless there's something else you think that's going to cause you to be denied. So, see you next Tuesday. It's funny, my youngest used to walk around saying see you next Tuesday, and it just, for some reason, because he was so little, it didn't just click in my head about that acronym, and I didn't really think about it, even though I knew the acronym. And I'm sitting there like, and all of a sudden, we went to Disney World with my mom, and all of a sudden he goes, see you next Tuesday, and she's like, and I was like, oh, he's been saying that a while, and it never clicked because I wasn't going, because my mind didn't go that well with him, because at that point, at least, he didn't have a potty mouth. Later on, he had a potty mouth, but at that point, he didn't have a potty mouth. D. Baker, I like your shorts, Dan. Don't read too much in that statement. What if I told you I'm not wearing any shorts right now? Oh my. So. So. Anyway. I think 2 hours is probably good enough for a show. I do need to, push and upload the video. I may make a case against Donald Trump video before I head back downstairs and play with the pups a little bit before I go to bed. Again, today's just been a crazy day. I find out tomorrow when my wife comes home, because I think she checks out of her hotel at 11. She needs to see if she can go to some other clinic that's up in Rockville, Maryland tomorrow, and depending on what she's going to do and when she does it, will depend on whether or not she's going to go stay with my dad and my stepmom for a little bit for the end of the week, and maybe she'll go see that. Thank you, Benny, for another gifted membership. Thank you, appreciate you. I've prepared for her to be gone for at least a week. I was anticipating her coming back on the weekend simply because I figured she was going to work in the mornings and then do everything else. However, if she comes back early, that would be wonderful. But I'm not rushing her because I want her to get all the medical help she can get while she's up there. So hopefully it will be that. I hope nobody's been trying to call, because in the past I haven't had the Blog Talk Radio page open for a bit. So there's that. So anyway, tomorrow I'll be doing the Nerdy Dan stream as normal, 8 p.m. probably, maybe a little earlier depending. And then Wednesday again we'll be back here 8 p.m. Central. Be on the lookout. Probably tomorrow morning I might go live, or not go live. Tomorrow morning the video might go live that I push tonight. Although it might go live for people who are liberal Danimals early, because it's what I do. If you're a member, you get to see stuff early. So until the next time I see you, this is Dan Zimmerman with Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left. That's right.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.